You can say what you want about writer-director James Gunn and how he seems to flourish in the midst of a lot of internet controversy, but that man is a hell of a creative individual. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is out in theaters now, and man, is it a ride. It is so much fun, this film, and it's beautifully made. That's the thing that really took me aback. James Gunn has always been a bit of a lone gun, I think, in the Marvel Universe. He's been able to carve out his own niche and develop a really cool universe for the Guardians of the Galaxy and give all of the actors that get to play with him lots to chew on, lots of fun bits, lots of moments in the sun, and that's definitely the case with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, but I think it's also the most heartfelt movie that James Gunn has made so far. It's truly an acknowledgement to the path and the journey that he and his troupe have taken over the course of this franchise within a franchise, and it's just a fantastic movie. There's no getting around it. It's just a joyous exercise. It's so much fun to sit in your theater seat and munch your popcorn and just be taken from one incredible set piece to another. All of the art direction in this movie is gorgeous. I think it really helps too that I saw this on a screen with a terrific projection system, and everything was sparkly and beautifully sharp, and the colors looked incredible, so it was mesmerizing. And that's not to take anything away from the performances or the visual effects or any of the other elements that went into making this movie such a success. And I think there was a lot riding on this. Obviously, there is an acknowledged superhero fatigue, even on the part of James Gunn. He has gone out and tweeted that there can be superhero fatigue, and we have a preponderance of choice when it comes to superhero entertainment out there. And James Gunn is acutely aware of that. But even in the face of that, and even in the face of there being so many Marvel projects and a lot of people not being especially fond of the choices from Phase 4, and the fact that this is also a sayonara to Marvel and James Gunn is running DC, as we all know, it still works. It all still works. And I think a big part of it is because of the script. James Gunn wrote this. He's been very upfront about the fact that this was the most emotional script that he's written. It was a big journey for him. And I also love the fact that this movie really celebrates Rocket Raccoon in a meaningful, powerful way. We get Rocket's origin story. I don't think I'm spoiling too much. I'm not going to spoil the plot of this movie, but we get to see the backstory for Rocket, and it really makes him a defined character. It also gives Bradley Cooper, who's been voicing Rocket Raccoon, I don't know if everybody knows that, by the way, he's incredible as Rocket, and he really gets to show some range in the role this time, but also the way that Rocket sort of bounces off of everybody and how much Rocket means to everybody and propels everybody to do everything they can to help their friend is really powerful. It's a great gut punch, and to see everybody get motivated, even though at the beginning of the movie people are a little bit broken up in the Guardians of the Galaxy. It's not quite the happy-go-lucky troop that we have seen in previous movies, because everybody's still reconciling with the events of Endgame and what has happened. And I think all of it came together in a really beautiful way. There's a new purpose to the team, and there are some new additions to the on-screen insanity, including Adam Warlock, played by Will Poulter, who's very good in this, although it's a much more comedic kind of tone than I think a lot of diehard fans of Adam Warlock might be anticipating. I enjoyed it. I don't know too much about Adam Warlock. He fits right in. Let's just say this. He fits right in with the goofiness of the Guardians of the Galaxy. But Bautista's got some great stuff to do. Chris Pratt is terrific as Star-Lord. I think this is the best fit for this performer. He's an excellent Peter Quill / Star-Lord, and he's terrific in this movie. Zoe Saldana also gets to flex some of the emotional kind of range that she shows off in movies like Avatar. She's incredibly powerful as Gamora in this movie, a different type of Gamora. I was also a big fan of what Karen Gillan brought to Nebula in this film as well. There's a lot more for this character to do this time, and she's a huge part of the team. Same goes for Mantis and Pom Klementieff. I mean, there's a real pathos. There's a real kind of emotional kind of bind that you feel and you see. You can kind of tell that this is hitting hard for the cast, but it's written that way. It's written to it, and it's not a superfluous kind of like pat on the back celebration of look at how successful we've been. It really hits, and it's really effective, and I think that's the thing that I'm walking away from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. It's a very successful enterprise, lots of weird galactic choices and colors that you'll see on spacesuits and squishy space stations that have like membrane to them. Just interesting stylistic concepts all the way through that work, and great cameos that pop up in this movie in very unique roles, some that are going to be familiar to longtime James Gunn fans for sure. But I enjoyed this whole ride. I enjoyed this whole journey. And special shout out to Chukwudi Iwuji, who plays the High Evolutionary. He is an incredible villain. He definitely shows a huge range. He chews some scenery. He is incredibly menacing. Just wonderful to see on screen. Very comparable to what Jonathan Majors just did as Kang and blew us all away. I think Chukwudi Iwuji does that same kind of menace and charm and just a power. I mean, it's just incredible on screen. He has to hold his own against this whole cavalcade of incredible heroes, and he does. And I have to give a slight trigger warning to any people out there that ever want to see animals in any kind of danger or peril, because we see a little bit of that in Rocket's backstory. I was moved, and I sat next to a dad and his little girl, and I noticed his little girl was crying and tearing up, and that made me a little bit more sad as I was watching, because I was kind of seeing the movie through her eyes, and it's just so freaking good. So kudos to James Gunn and the whole team behind Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. It's up there. I don't know where it is on my pecking order yet, but it's up there as one of the best of the MCU movies, and I do think it's my favorite of the Guardians movies. I have to see it again, but I freaking loved it. I can't wait to hear your reactions. Please let me know in the comments below. But I'm giving Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 a 9 out of 10.